Spenser Inwood joins me here at the Big Top. Oh, what a day, what a weekend. How's it going?
It's been really lovely, actually. I got in yesterday and I got to see the Back in the Big Top show last night, which was just awesome to kind of see where this wonderful organisation has gotten to, actually.
You've been travelling a lot lately. You're based in Melbourne, but you've been... Where have some of your travels taken you lately?
Well, just last month I went to Colombia with Circus Oz. We went to Bucaramanga and Bogota with a show called Model Citizens. And then before that, I'd been doing most of sort of Northern Territory, WA, regional touring as well with Circus Oz, and got to go to Tiwi Islands for the first time, which was just amazing to kind of see this other section of our country that you just don't get to see very much.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
What a great life. I first met you when we were doing a show, The Gift, up in... we toured that show to Brisbane.
Yeah, it was
Canberra.
in 2002.
Brisbane, Canberra and Canada in the end. But Brisbane, certainly the first time we worked together, and you did that wonderful sort of like an air violin in the cafe act.
Yeah, so I had been playing violin as a kid, but they wanted me to walk on the tight wire and play at the same time, and there was no way that my parents were going to let me actually carry my real violin onto the tight wire and potentially drop it. So they made me this beautiful prop that I could just mime to, which was awesome.
Well, a good show, that one.
It was.
What were some of the highlights for you in your career with the Fruit Flies?
I think one of my biggest highlights, there's a couple of them, but one of them was doing the 8 weeks through Far North Queensland, where we toured through 6 different communities over 8 weeks, teaching circus to the kids in the community and actually incorporating them into the show. And then at the end of the week, we'd do a show for the whole community with the kids involved as well, which was just incredible at 12 to go away from home for 2 months and be so far away from home and experience just such a different cultural space. It was amazing. But also another one would have been, performing in the closing ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in my last few years at Fruities, where I also got to kind of assist and direct a little bit more because I was one of the older kids, so I got to kind of be a bit more of a team captain, I guess, and kind of collaborate alongside Kim and the other directors, so yeah.
Was it difficult to transition out of the Fruit Flies into the outside world, even though you were still in circus and Circus Oz and such?
Yeah.
But certainly you wouldn't have thought the same level of support and...
No, so when I first graduated, I had a plan. I was heading off to go and train with a woman called Anna Shelper, who was also another ex-Fruit Fly. And I'd set that all up and we organised a training space, and I started training with her 5 days a week in Melbourne, in and around, teaching classes, also having an office job for a little while too to pay the bills. But actually the thing that made it most difficult for my transition was that I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue at about 2021. And that put a pretty big spanner in the works, as you can imagine. And so that sort of stopped my training completely. I wasn't able to do any sort of physical training for about 3-ish years.
Chingas.
And it's been a bit of a journey coming back into the circus world from that.
Can I ask you, how did you manage that? The physical management of that is one thing, but how did you manage that mentally?
It was a really tough time, actually, and I learned a lot about myself and about who I was and what I wanted actually in my life. And I think it was actually a really good reflection to kind of... I did this full circle where I was kind of like, all I am is a circus performer. That's all I've ever known, like who am I if I'm not that, And then I started noticing the things that I did like about other things, like traveling and meeting new people and going to different places and not necessarily always being in the same place and learning new things. And then I kind of went, actually, this is another reason why I've loved being a circus performer, is that is that there are other elements to it. It's not just the training, it's not just the performing, it's actually the lifestyle itself. And I learned that because I got to about 2.5, 3 years into my diagnosis, and I had been sitting on my couch for a number of years, and I just needed to get out of my house, and so I booked a trip to Portugal, and it was sort of a really big turning point because for me it went, regardless of whether you're going to be a circus performer, you need to work out how to have this freedom of travel in your life, I guess. And then it was just a step-by-step kind of process. It's been about a 7-8 year journey in total of like really, really unwell to being able to be sort of a little more active, and then taking on a full-time show load, and then taking on a bigger show load, and that kind of thing. So it's sort of been quite a journey, and I actually think I'm making better work because of it. Yeah. Now, I've learned a lot very quickly.
Well, isn't it interesting? Did you find, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I in a personal experience, when struggling with some mental issues, I've often found that being out performing is the safest and best place you can be.
Yeah. It sort of is it's like being able to be whatever you are at the time, and you don't have to process the other stuff. You can kind of put it on hold for a moment. It has been really interesting. I definitely have been making work now that is different from what I probably would have made if I hadn't gone through this journey. But I've learnt so much about myself and what I want. It's been kind of double-edged sword.
Where does when you say you're making work, where does that creative process start for you?
Well, I've recently started my own company called A Good Catch with 2 other women that I've been working with for the last sort of 4-ish years, I would say. But we officially started making work together about 2 years ago. And for us, it comes from play. We've kind of got this process around, we go in and we train together and we play with things, and we kind of bring different provocations to the floor, and push each other's boundaries a little bit, like notice each other's kind of weaknesses or strengths and go, I reckon you can push that a little bit harder, and kind of there's this process of real give and take and supportive nature of wanting each of us to be the best that we can possibly be, and being aware of our weaknesses so that we can kind of support each other in those spaces. But yeah, for us it's been a really nice journey of play, actually, and it kind of circled that back round again. We made a show in 2017 that we ended up taking to called Casting Off, that we took to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2018, and at a welcome address to the artists, the woman that was giving that, which is Deborah Frances White, who's the host of the Guilty Feminist, she said the thing that you want to do when you're here in Edinburgh is play. You want to play at your work, you want to play in every aspect of being at the Edinburgh Fringe, because if you work hard and if you try too hard, it's not going to work for you. You just gotta sit inside the play, and that really resonated with us in the way that we like to work together. So it was a really nice moment.
Isn't that a beautiful thing to be told?
Yeah, it was a really lovely address. It was actually so invigorating, and it sent us off for a really lovely season. Actually, we had a great time in Edinburgh. It was wonderful for our sort of maiden festival voyage with the show. Yeah.
A Good Catch. Where can we catch you in future coming up?
Well, we're off to the WA Circus Fest in January, and we'll be doing 2 weeks in Perth.
What dates are you in Perth?
From the 22nd to the 2nd, so the 22nd of January to the 2nd of Feb.
Yep.
And then we go to Albany for one night. We're
Beautiful
in Albany.
place.
It's such a stunning space, isn't it? It's
well,
so
one of my
gorgeous.
favourite cities,
It's
Albany.
so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right on the coast. And the theatre down
gorgeous.
there is so beautiful.
Yeah.
They've made it look like the coastline, which is the other thing that's so beautiful. It fits in so beautifully. So we'll be in Albany on the 6th of February. And then actually we're heading to the UK in May, June for 6 weeks to head to Bristol and Brighton and London and a bunch of other places in between. And later in 2020 we'll head to South Australia and Victoria for some regional touring. So it's actually feeling like it's doing some really wonderful things, which is amazing.
The comeback from chronic fatigue has become chronically exciting.
Well, yeah, and really busy.
So
my workload.
You're due for another round.
I really, on my stem.
So good to talk with you, Spenser Inwood. Enjoy all that touring and having a great time.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for being with us at the festival.
Such a pleasure.
Have we got a gift for Spence?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, look, Johnny,
Aw.
our producer's just a
What?
wonderful, wonderful guy. And he's so
I did
generous.
not realise that this was part of the game.
And look, here you go. In case things go pear-shaped on tour.
Sure. Yeah, love it. Or a banana if you need.
Nani for potassium.
Or energy. Yeah, boost that in.
nectarines grown by Johnny's family.
Oh wow, I don't know
here
if
in
I can
Wodonga.
go past a homegrown nectarine.
Turmeric.
Oh yes, aches and pains. Got to get rid of those aches and pains.
And when you get the aches and pains, bandage.
Yeah.
Isn't he wonderful?
It's good.
He thinks of everything.
He really does.
Spenser,
How gorgeous.
take care.
Thank
Love
you
your work.
so much, John.
Great to see you again.
Cheers.